evening, race fans, and welcome. Tonight, we bring you to the short track like no other on the iRacing NASCAR schedule. Yes, it is the Icon Cup Series live from Richmond Raceway, 3/4 of a mile around, 60 laps in the first heat, in the first stage, and 200 laps overall. It's race number 4 of season 1. We're so great to have you here on VirtualRacing.Network. I'm Trevor Greenfield, and as always, joined here in the booth by veteran sim racer and team owner in the Icon Cup Series, Christian Snyder. Christian, welcome back here tonight at Richmond Raceway. It's a short track. Tempers may flare. Paint may be rubbed. What do we have to look forward to around this short track?
Well, you gotta be patient. Patience is going to be key for this track. You know, it's a lot of braking in the corners. It's a lot of slow corners, so you got to be patient for the guy in front of you. You don't want to push him out of the way too early. It's 200 laps tonight, so these guys got to keep their heads cool, calm, and collected. I know it's hard at a short track. It's a little hot tonight, but it should cool off once the sun goes down, so the track will be pretty good, I feel. So interesting to see how these guys handle this track tonight.
Should be very interesting. There's not much room for passing and setting up passes, but of course you got to get the job done somehow. And these drivers right now, of course, going to go out there and qualify. And at a short track like this, qualifying can mean quite a lot. Getting that track position early on could help you to possibly avoid some wrecks.
Yeah, track position is key here. You're going to see a lot of different strategies to try to get that track position throughout the night. Some people may two-stop the second stage. Some people may only try to do one stop. So we'll see how strategy plays out throughout the night.
Well, as we see Mark Morton head out there on track in the familiar Kellogg's Tony the Tiger number 5, for those of you who are Mark Martin fans out there, it's a good-looking paint scheme, I might add. I think the Full Send Esports, they've got a hookup on those liveries over there if somebody else is looking to get their cars painted. Here's another one of the Full Send Esports drivers out there, Brendan Jenks, with the U.S. Air Force sponsorship, headed out to try to get in his lap as well. Anthony Campbell, newcomer to the league, and did you say this is one of the paint schemes that you had done over there at Snyder Graphics as well, Christian?
Yeah, this is one of them, one of the 4 that are in the field tonight. So, yeah, it's a good-looking scheme.
So I'm guessing that's a game that you play, Valorant?
No, it's a game that he apparently plays. It's Valorant. I've never played it, but he said he wanted a paint scheme for it, and I worked something up.
Just goes to show you, this may not even be your cup of tea, but just bring your dreams over to Snyder Graphics and they'll try to get it on the car for you. Here's Nathan Finnegan. He's just put in his time, 6th fastest, as you can see on the left-hand side. Thomas Taylor, another new driver to the league. Welcome aboard the Icon Cup Series. Thomas putting in 10th fastest time. Sean Purcell getting in the 04 machine there just outside of that top 10. Tanner Dio just getting in his qualifying effort and bringing that one around. It's only going to be good enough for 18th fastest. Brian Smith out there on track right now, bringing that machine up to speed. We'll see what he can manage to do. He's just going to be completing his lap here around Richmond. And
this is the guy that can't catch a break. He's had some rough few weeks here in Icon so far with a lot of incidents.
Well, he got a heck of a break there. He's on the pole. Christian, take us into turn 1 with Ronnie Norman.
You can see Ronnie, he's going to brake early coming into the corner. He's going to want to get as low as possible on that yellow line so that you have a good drive off the corner. And then 3 and 4 are shaped a little bit differently, but it's kind of the same aspect. You want to get as low as possible and then just arc your corner off and basically straighten your corner as much as possible. Some of these guys won't be full throttle until the start-finish line. And you can see Ronnie Norman going to slot in 3rd tonight.
Nice lap for Norman, who must be feeling it after taking victory last week over in Nora. Racing for Harper Motorsports over here in a Ford, and starting third, that's going to be a good chance to avoid some incidents early on, possibly. And anytime Ronnie's feeling it behind the wheel, that's certainly a name you're going to want to focus on over the course of the event. I think that's going to be our final qualifier out there. So why don't we go ahead now and take a look here at the current points for tonight as we get set for the grid to become official. Here we go on screen. You can see Ryan Patty with 1 win, currently sitting atop the points there, and in second place, Brian Smith as well, having taken a pole position here so far tonight, and I believe that will hold, and also having taken win as well. Jamie Lee Dunning currently sitting in third place in those points, fourth in Kevin Gunther, and fifth to Andrew Cootie. So you can see the rest of them as they line up. Blade Timmons sitting on that playoff cutoff line, and just outside is Cody Height, as he's known, Cody Height on YouTube. Isaac Emerson and Chris Howell, those guys are going to be racing to try to get up there into the points. So with that, I think we're still finishing up qualifying. So Christian, we can take a look also at some important rules for the Icon Cup Series here in season number 1. Of course, the most important ones here is that there is just the one stage break, and everybody's going to be trying to get those valuable points. There's no fast repairs. 3 attempts at the end for the green-white checkers, and there are 2 drop races. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the starting grid for tonight's round number 4 of the Icon Cup Series here at Richmond Raceway. Starting on the front row will be Brian Smith. Alongside him will be Scott Patton. Starting on the second row, Ronnie Norman, and he'll be starting alongside Vincent Laria. On that third row will be Brendan Jenks and Andrew Cootie. And on the fourth row will be Cody Height with Nathan Finnegan. Cody Height, as I mentioned, just sitting outside of those playoff points, and still early in the season, but you want to get your name on the other side of that line. Adam Ball going to be starting in 9th place. Alongside him, Kevin Gunther. 11th will be Timothy Harper, and next to him, Mark Morton. Starting on the next row will be Thomas Taylor in 13th, and next to him, Justin Bissonette. Kyle Gilbert next to Brock Hersey. Sean Purcell next to Anthony Campbell. Tanner Dio and Mike Jennings side by side. 21st will be Cody Neal and Ryan Patty. 23rd will be Jacob Smith and Christopher Howell. And 25th, Cody Eldred next to Jamie Lee Dunning. Brad Slagle is going to start next to William Baker. And I believe that's going to round out our grid for tonight's race. It's a long one, 200 laps, but you got to be patient. Christian, what do you think about Brian Smith? He must be feeling it out there, taking victory, and now he's going to be starting right at the front of this one to get this one started.
Yeah, anytime that he hasn't been involved in incidents, he's won the race. So he's kind of got a good track record. It's either checkered flag or he's on a wrecker. So the season's been up and down for him, but he's on that up with winning recently. So let's see if he can back it up with another win here tonight.
Well, checkers or wreckers is a familiar term out there to those of you that are NASCAR fans, but certainly a number of those drivers in the field, you can't really have that kind of mentality here at Richmond because you'll be wrecking out before too long, but we'll see how it all plays out. Again, first stage tonight is going to be coming in on lap number 60, so we'll watch for that. In the meantime, we're ready to go here at Richmond. We're green.
Well, and a bad start there for Vincent Loria, I believe that was in the 67. Just didn't get going there into the corner, but we see too wide throughout the entire field. These guys can run too wide throughout the night and make the outside work, so it's going to be interesting to see which lane is more dominant here.
Well, Scott Patton, they're filing into second. Ronnie Norman in third. Vincent Loria in fourth. And already we've had a change of position a little bit further back. That's Cootie, who's now jumped up 2 spots in that white and green machine. Actually, still fighting with Vincent Loria for that 4th position.
I think that was Vincent Loria that got into the wall just now. He hit the wall pretty hard coming out of turn 2.
And again, so easy to do here. You especially don't want to do that so early on. You take a risk on bending some of the equipment, getting that steering all jacked up. That's something they can't necessarily fix on pit road, unless you're lucky.
Oh, we got trouble. Kyle Gilbert.
Kyle Gilbert having a moment. It looks like a couple of cars are involved. Actually, everybody seems to have steered around it. I don't know how that's possible on such a short track like this. We're going to have to back it up, check this one out, see if we can figure out what happened with Gilbert here. Let's go ahead and take a look over the top, and we'll be able to see exactly what happened here with Gilbert.
Yeah, he's already having issues right now. You can see the smoke already, so something happens coming off of 2 here.
He may have gotten moved.
He might. Well, he gets loose going into the corner. Let's see if he does get moved here by Sean Purcell, as he saves it here and then gets that little tap and it goes around. I don't know. Maybe he didn't get tapped, but it was close if he didn't.
He had a wildly loose car there coming through the corner, and then it was just like the ultimate amount of corrections. I mean, that thing just looked like it was spinning on ice. Well, let's see if we can back that up once again a little bit further and maybe jump on board, and it'll give us a little bit better of an idea here.
Yeah, it looks like going into the corner, he just is going to wheel hop on the brakes. Then you can see that he is turning hard right here. And then he never catches it. I don't think I think that was Purcell. I don't think Purcell got into him to turn him around. I think he just was going around no matter what there.
Well, interesting stuff for so early on to be getting sideways like that, but we jump back to the live picture here, and he sits on pit road. Currently, the rest of the drivers going to go ahead and pass up this opportunity to come in and get new tires, as we've just only put in about 6 laps by the time that caution came out. But again, these drivers going to be eyeing that race lap total and planning their strategy for the entire race around that first stage. That's going to be just, I mean, the laps click off so fast here. We're going to be at lap number 60 here before you know it. So, Christian, as you get close to that lap number 60, you're thinking about, do I have a chance at getting stage points? But then certainly, as you know, as you did quite well over in the Icon, in the Nora series this last week over at Pocono, there's a chance for pitting before, pitting after that stage, and really taking advantage and gaining some track position.
Yeah, I don't see how green flag pit stop will be beneficial here unless everyone can't make it to the end of the stage. Then obviously pitting is the only option. But I mean, strategy is such a big role. We saw it at Pocono. Strategy came in handy. So I don't think these guys are going to need tires until about 20 laps into this race. The first 20 laps, these guys will be fine on tires. And I'm not sure about the fuel if they can make it 60 laps, but we are in the restart zone and we are back green here as Brian Smith takes a big jump on the lead.
Just as you say, a big jump there coming back to the green, and look at Cootie. He's gained 3 spots. He's running that outside groove. Looks like Cootie's going to try to take second place away. At least he gets side by side headed into the corner. He's racing hard for that second position, of course, carrying that Boston Celtics on the nose of that machine, going side by side there. So we can see out his window racing side by side down that front straightaway. You see lots of side by side racing, but he takes second position away from Scott Patton, and now under attack here, it's Ronnie Norman slipping backwards as Vincent Loria has managed to retake that position, and now he moves back into fourth place.
It looks like Ronnie's trying to get the outside to work, but it's just not, because now the 38 of Brendan Jenks underneath him, and it looks like Cody Height behind him as well.
Brendan Jenks for Full Send Esports. That's your team, Christian, by the way. Up there now into the top 5 as he tries to continue to work his way underneath Ronnie Norman. Hasn't quite cleared him, and as you said, he's possibly about to get some help from behind from Cody Height. Meanwhile, up front, Brian Smith setting the fastest lap of the race so far. The 22:18. Jinx now getting
we are 3 wide.
And we are 3 wide because Jinx gets aced out of that pass on Ronnie Norman. Oh, and now we're under caution for Justin Bissonnette. We got Damien Lee Dunning involved in this one. Mark Morton involved. A number of drivers. Justin Bissonnette. You see Morton has now exited his vehicle and is going to tow back to the pits. Christopher Howell also caught up in this wreck. So multiple drivers already caught up, and it's only lap 13. This is our second caution so far. Let's jump back and see what was going on here with Justin Bissonnette.
Based on that look already, it looks like he's going to get some help here, and he does.
Gets tagged from the 30. That's actually Patty. So coming into the corner, he gets tagged. And we'll go back and take a look at it. And then Mark Morton just nowhere to go, and unfortunately gets taken out in that mess. Let's back it up a little bit further than where we did, and see if we can tell exactly what happened to Bissonnette as he's overhead here, and looks like he comes down to take the corner, but Patty racing hot into that corner and just late to get onto the brakes and be able to slow that machine down. If we take another look here from the back of Bissonnette coming into the corner.
Yeah, it looked like Brian Patty was kind of being defensive from the car behind him. He didn't want to brake too early in fear of getting run over, and he ended up braking too late. And you can see that he locks up I think it's the left front tire. You can see just a plume of smoke coming from his left front as he's getting in there. So he didn't mean to get in that hard, but he was kind of mirror driving going into that corner, I believe.
Well, again, tough to tell. The closing rate in these accidents are it's really difficult to just stand on the binders and somehow have it work out. Let's watch from on board Mark Morton's machine. And Christian, this paint livery is not as pretty as it was to start the race.
Oh. Yeah, you can see he had 2 decisions there. He could either slow down and maybe go high, or try to get underneath him before he came down the track. And he tried gassing it up and getting underneath him, and he just drifted down right into the path of Mark Morton there.
So we jump back to the live picture. Still no takers at the very front to come down onto pit lane. In fact, pretty much everybody choosing to stay out there. We do have Kyle Gilbert now making his pit stop, and Justin Bissonnette just behind, as you can see. So caught up in this last incident, perhaps going to get a little bit of repair on pit lane, as well as take on some new tires perhaps, and get reset for the rest of this race. But so far, so good for Brian Smith out front. He's pretty much been doing what he needs to do to hold on to the front edge of this race. Andrew Cootie has been stellar so far. He's kind of been the mover and shaker, putting down some passes and working his way through that top 5, already up into second place. Scott Patton currently running in third place. And he and Vincent Loria exchanging positions there, but These two so far having a decent race. Look a little bit further back. How about this guy, Jacob Smith? He's already up 12 spots so far. So keep your eye on him. He seems to have something figured out. Currently running back in the 11th spot. Green flag is in the air in the hands of Barney the Flag Man. And we're going again here at Richmond on lap number 18.
And Brian Smith gets a good jump every restart choosing that outside. We'll have to see if later in this race the outside is the choice for everybody. As you can see how much that benefited Brian Smith as we got 2 wide behind them here. I believe that's Ronnie Norman and Brendan Jenks side by side for 5th place.
Norman and Jenks race side by side, and actually Jenks pulls just ahead. That's now Nathan Finnegan on the outside. Norman and Finnegan battling, but it looks like Norman really struggling since this start. You do wonder what's going on there. We've got some more incidents back a little bit further.
I believe that was Andrew Campbell. He got a little loose and got on the brakes to avoid getting a caution. He's going to keep back going and stay in this in this race.
Anthony Campbell losing all kinds of positions there. Just able to get it going again here in the number 73. His first race for Icon. And, well, welcome to the league. Now back in 26th place as he's just about to look on the low side of Kyle Gilbert, so he might move that up one more spot. Back up front, it's Brian Smith doing all the work, leading this one and doing a fantastic job of it. Currently holding about a 4 or 5 car length lead over Andrew Cootie. Scott Patton in 3rd spot as well. Now here comes Scott taking a look at the low side on Andrew Cootie.
Now, I'm not 100% sure here, Trevor, but I think Andrew Cootie is a Boston sports fan. I don't know what gives me that idea.
Well, he may in fact be, but he's operating out of South Dakota, or at least that's what he's posted as his hometown. But 20-year-old driver out of CCH Motorsports, bringing his fandom to the hood, just like your video game livery that you designed. It's you do whatever makes you feel good. You put it out there. You put it on your hood.
Right, yeah, he had, I believe it was the Bruins game last week, if I'm not mistaken, and then he had, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but he's had, I think, 3 Boston sports teams on his car now. But hey, it must be working, must be making him fast.
Well, unlike the hip checks out there tonight, may have to do some defense and keep Scott Patton at bay. As Patton is now charging hard. He's really studying the back end of Andrew Cootie, and we may see a pass before very long. But Christian, this is one of those difficult to pass on racetracks. If you're Scott Patton, are you just waiting for the guy in front to make a mistake? You trying to jam that nose in there in the braking area? Is there a particular corner that's easier to pass out of? As you see, it looks like Cootie scrapes the wall there.
Yeah, Cootie's kind of gotten close to that wall a couple laps in a row, if not scraping it. But the way you got to pass here is basically you got to do this. You got to show the nose underneath them going into the corner. And if they're mirror driving, they might slip up going into the corner, drive in a little bit too deep, and then you're able to take advantage. So Scott Patton right now doing the right thing. He's showing his nose in the mirror, on that left side saying, hey, I'm here. And he's just got to get a good run off the corner and get close enough to Cootie that maybe Cootie will let him have the inside.
Patience is a virtue, and now you see it starting to pay off. As Scott Patton, he took a look there for a second, but he thought better of it. He ducked back in, but you do have to get a run kind of coming off of the corner. You got to get alongside so the guy knows you're there. Otherwise, you can't just surprise the guy heading into the corner and say, hey, by the way, I'm here. Make room for me. We'll see whether or not Patton can manage to try to get alongside of Cootie again. You know, a lot of times you see this too, where a driver struggles until he manages to survive one or two of these attempts, and then suddenly they're able to get it back together again, collect themselves, collect the car, and be able to get those laps underway. I mean, after all, Cootie got here for a reason. He made numerous passes early on, and perhaps he'll be able to have the longer green flag running pace. Looking a little bit further back, Cody Neal up 11 spots, currently running in 10th position. He's now looking at the backside of Ronnie Norman. And Christian Norman has really slipped here tonight. He's gone all the way from 3rd back to 9th.
Yeah, Ronnie typically not a short track racer. He likes the mile and a halfs, the mile tracks, the cookie cutter tracks, and also obviously Pocono. He's pretty good there. So short tracks never really was his specialty. So he's struggling early here. Hopefully he's able to get a hold of the track.
Well, and here's another one of the drivers in the field that we like to highlight often. This is Cody Height on YouTube, as he's known. Of course, he's streaming over there. It's always great to subscribe to a lot of these streamers, and you could have his stream up on the side that you got one going on one part of your screen and one going on the other if you want. Either way, check it out after the broadcast and get on over there to Cody Height on YouTube. He's got such entertaining broadcasts or streams that he does, but currently running in 8th place. And just in front of him, his team owner, Timothy Harper, for Harper Motorsports. Now, he's gained 4 spots, currently running up in that 7th spot. But these guys are all trailing a bit. I mean, it's 1.2 seconds up here to Nathan Finnegan for Collar City Racing. And Nathan's gained a couple of spots himself. Of course, one of those being from Ronnie Norman, who's been struggling a little bit. But right now, this is like a... this is all 5, or all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I can count correctly, 5 cars within about 2 seconds up to 2nd place. So Patton, Cootie, Loria, Jinx, and Finnegan all kind of about 2 seconds apart. And this is some serious battling about to happen here between Loria and Jinx.
Yeah, you can see Jenks is going to try setting up the corner. He's going to try getting in a little deeper and try to get underneath Loria here on exit, but just not enough of a run, so he's going to choose to stay in line here, brake early again, and then that'll allow him to get a good run off the corner. You can see here he comes to the inside now. Just not quite enough drive off the corner. Vincent Loria using that outside lane to get the momentum.
Well, Brendan Jinx so far hanging well up in the top 5 as that sun begins to fall lower and lower in the sky here at Richmond, Virginia. Track is going to start to get a bit cooler. It's going to grip up a little bit more as it rubbers in. And this track is going to transition a bit over the next 160 laps or so. Now side by side here as Loria and Finnegan are battling it out for that 5th position.
Yeah, Nathan Finnegan going to pass Brendan Jenks here, or try to, as Jenks is going to try to defend on the outside lane here and get a run down the straightaway. It's so hard to pass here whenever you get on the inside of somebody and they stay on your outside. You kind of got to do exactly what Finnegan just did, and that's overdrive the entry of the corner and slide up in front of him in order to clear him. Has some, we'll call it a slide job, as it's known. So just pull a little slider, and that's the best way to pass here.
Well, it being a short track, of course, you got to take your cues from the best in the business, and certainly over in the dirt side. Slide job is it's how you get it done. You go in low and you slide up high on exit, and certainly one of the easy ways to keep that driver behind you. But Jinx doing a good job of defending. Finnegan unable to take that position, and currently he looks on as this one continues to be led here by Brian Smith. Second place being held down by Scott Patton, and third by Cootie, but you can see how close that top 6 is. We jump back here to Timothy Harper and Cody Height. Teammates trying to work their way forward here. Cody Neal racing on in that 9th place, once again up 12 spots, so he's having a stellar night so far. Perhaps he's going to be looking good enough to get somewhere up there towards that top 5 by the time we hit the second stage of tonight's race. It looks like Height has just taken that position away from Harper. You would think Harper would be on calm and know that Height is trying to pass him, but they continue to race side by side here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Harper's just going to let him by here at this point, them being teammates. But Cody Height gets loose, and Harper says, you know what, I'll take it back.
Yeah, indeed. Cody, and he's still racing down there on that apron. Got to be real careful getting down below that yellow line. That can be disastrous. He's still really loose. I do wonder what's going on with that car.
It looks to me like he's got too much rear brake into it, because he is getting loose into the corner, and once you heat up that right rear tire, the next 3 or 4 laps you're going to be loose. So he's got that right rear tire pretty hot right now, so it's going to be loose for him the next few laps. He's just got to take it easy into the corners, drive it nice and smooth, let the tires cool down for 2 or 3 laps.
Well, we were looking at the Harper twins there battling it out. Here comes Cody Neal for 313 Motorsports. This guy is on a tear. 14 positions gained up into that 7th spot, and he's kind of leaving the Harpers like they're just sitting still.
And typically we see him in a 56 Toyota. Tonight he's in the number 3 Chevrolet, so maybe that's his cue to maybe switch over to Chevy because he's doing a little bit better in that Chevrolet.
Yes, indeed. And what a... you got to make that change, I guess, if it's required. I don't know. Some drivers very particular to a particular manufacturer. Another driver says, hey, whatever's the fastest, slap me in that car. Here's another driver back here in 12th spot who's actually been doing some real work himself coming forward. Jamie Lee Dunning. Of course, he's sitting up there pretty high in the points as well. No surprise to see this guy doing well out there, but he is up 14 spots from where he qualified, currently racing in the 12th position, and he's about to approach Ronnie Norman. And speaking of Norman's woes, he's now back to 11th, so he continues to fall further and further back in this field. And Christian, we're just about 10 laps away from the stage, and that might help some of these drivers recover from what has been a very difficult first stage here at Richmond.
Yeah, it's been a significantly difficult first stage for... Oh, we got a caution. I believe that's Ryan Patty.
It is indeed Ryan Patty. Interesting to see the Detach House's speed driver, who's already got a victory here in the Icon Cup Series, already in the playoffs. And, of course, Ryan also runs the show here for Icon. It's been his circus since he started this thing. And he must have had some sort of incident with that machine, but he does get it going again. This looks like it's this may be a solo incident. Jump overhead and see if we can tell. Indeed, it does look like it's pretty much just a solo thing. And that might just be more of what Cody was experiencing in his car, having some high rear brake balance.
Yeah, you can see right here, as soon as you play it there, he's already a little bit loose right here, coming off the corner, and it just goes around. It almost looked like he got loose into the corner, but he didn't overcorrect to show that, so I think he just got a little bit loose off, a little bit in the throttle too early there.
Well, Patty gets it going again, and now we're getting some takers on pit lane. Surprisingly, Cootie deciding he's going to take tires. Cody Height going to take tires and fuel. Nathan Finnegan. A number of these are top 10 drivers that are making their pit stops, but kind of a split decision as we've got Brian Smith, Scott Patton, Vincent Lauria, Brendan Jinks, Cody Neal, Kevin Gunther, Ronnie Norman, Jamie Lee Dunning, Mike Jennings, Christopher Howell, Cody Eldred, Brad Slagle, all of those drivers choosing not to make their pit stops.
And this is something you brought up earlier in the night. These guys that stay out, they're going to pit when the stage caution comes. But everybody who just pit, they're going to stay out. So it's going to be new guys up front. You're going to see Brian Smith probably fall back to about 10th on the restart for the stage. So this is going to be an interesting little shakeup here.
So we watch on here, and of course, been looking over in YouTube, have not seen the traditional fan clubs emerge, but great to see everybody who's watching us live over on YouTube. Appreciate everybody joining us every single week here on VirtualRacing.Network. We always appreciate your support, and so does the Icon Cup Series. Definitely, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tick the notification bell so you get all the notifications here. And also, if you want to like this video, it helps to get it out there to more race fans, especially those who are interested in iRacing. And why not? These are great races of Icon, great field of talent here. Brian Smith holding down the fort here in Richmond. Scott Patton in second and Vincent Lauria in third. But pretty sure some of these other drivers, as you just mentioned, they're already strategizing how they can get to first place at the end of this race, and we're going to see some different shakeups here coming up as we get through the end of this first stage. And of course, top drivers in this first stage will get extra bonus points. Very, very valuable heading into the playoffs to try to get yourself up above that cut line. But right now, Brian Smith is your top dog as they reform up at the front of this thing. Yellow flag currently in the air, soon to be replaced by the green flag. This is the perspective from Barney the Flagman. Christian, this is going to be like a two-lap shootout to see who gets the bonus points for this first stage. And I mean, I'd love to think that anyone else has a chance, but Brian Smith has been pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, especially on these restarts, you're going to see him get a good run on that outside because it's more straight than the inside. You can see he's already got about a 3-car length lead going into turn 1 here.
Great run into turn 1, and Jinx and Lauria fighting it out for that third spot. Just a couple of laps, about 4 laps or so to fight this one out, to see who's going to get those top spots for that first stage. But Smith, absolutely no problem out front as this battle rages on. Brendan Jinks for that Full Send Esports team.
Oh, trouble. Cootie.
It's Andrew Cootie, who was just up in the front, having a big issue, now sits sideways, and that will bring out our caution, and that probably will freeze the field. And that will be your top 5 as Cootie now transports back to the pits, takes the tow. My goodness, Cootie having such an amazing race prior to that. And that's just how quickly it can fall apart for you, Christian.
Yeah, what happens, you make that choice to go into pit road and restart toward the rear, and whenever you make that decision, it gets a little bit crazy back there. Cars on old tires in front of you, you got a much better closing speed, and then typically you see guys just get in trouble. And it's usually because of that pit choice.
Well, we ride.
See, I'm actually incorrect, and he actually just got on the brakes too hard and went around.
Well, he had come in and made that pit choice, that pitch stop, and taken on fresh tires, and perhaps those cold tires on the old brake bias with the tires not warmed up, that might have been the issue, as we now have lots of pit stops happening behind. Brian Smith going to be bringing it down into the pits as we jump back to that live picture here. And this is the shot at the end of pit road. Smith and Jenks, Patton, Loria, and Neal. I'm guessing the call was made, and we don't have confirmation on this, but I'm guessing the call was made that the positions were frozen for the first stage and that those points were awarded already. Otherwise, I don't think Brian Smith and the rest would have made that pit stop, because here in the Icon Cup Series, the traditional time that yellow flag is displayed is at the end of that actual stage lap. So they had not yet started their 61st lap, so I'm guessing that was frozen because of the yellow.
Yeah, that's correct. Once the caution came out, the top 5 were awarded points, and now we're going to see a restart with a little bit of a shakeup. We got new guys up front, and some of the guys who have been up front now toward the back. You see Brian Smith the whole way back in 8th now.
Well, up front, it's Nathan Finnegan for Collar City Racing, and just behind him, Timothy Harper, Justin Bissonnette. Amazing for Bissonnette because he had that incident that brought out that first caution. And behind him, and Adam Ball, Cody Height, Sean Purcell, Ryan Patty, believe it or not, after having that incident, now shown in 7th place. All these drivers coming in on lap number 52 here. So, not that long ago, and of course there's been a couple of laps of yellow flag in the meantime. But Finnegan getting a chance to lead the race here, as we're going to come back to the green flag, and wonder if he's going to be able to do the same type of job that Brian Smith was able to do.
Well, I have to see, because it looks like he's choosing the inside, so this is an interesting decision. That outside's been more dominant on the restarts. We'll have to see how Nathan Finnegan is able to make the inside work.
Well, and certainly we know from all of our coverage over in the Nora Cup Series, Timothy Harper is not going to be afraid to race Nathan Finnegan. If he has that opportunity on the outside, he will certainly try to take advantage of that. Nobody scares Timothy Harper, and certainly nobody's going to try to keep him out of the lead of this race. But we'll watch on to see how that works out. It is amazing, as Harper and Height were kind of losing ground in the middle part of that first stage, but there goes Finnegan. He's got a great run on the low side.
Yeah, he's able to get those tires to grip up, and he takes off into turn 1, side by side behind him now with Bissonnette and Harper.
Side by side they run about 4 rows deep. That's Harper, Bissonnette, Height, and Ball, and Patty and Purcell racing it out for second back to 6th place. So we've got another yellow flag. I'm not sure yet who this is for. I think it's Scott Patton. So yet another one of our top drivers. There's another car that's up in the wall. Is that Loria?
I believe that is.
Loria and Patton have a coming together here, and that's Loria who's sustained major damage on that machine.
Yeah, these are 2 guys that pit right there at the end of the stage, and they're back there in traffic now, compared to being up in the top 10. You can see Scott Patton's right front was not attached there. It was bouncing all over the place. So we'll have to see what happens here. You can see Brian Smith is in front of them here, has Brendan Jenks underneath Scott Patton. Patton's just going to get loose, tank slap it into the wall. Loria with nowhere to go. The 3 of Cody Neal involved, the 57 involved.
Unfortunately for the 57, of course, he's a brand new driver, Thomas Taylor. Nowhere to go for him, so certainly let's take a look at and see what Scott Patton saw from onboard.
Got cold tires on a restart and getting onto the throttle a little bit too heavy there on the exit of the corner, goes around and gets pinballed there. And you can see that right front brake as soon as that 57 hit him. You could see that the right front was bouncing, so iRacing putting in really good details.
Indeed, it gets more and more realistic, it seems like, weekly, but for Loria, I'm sure he would have liked to be able to have a ghost car in front of him and not have to make that contact. But, my goodness. You know, these drivers were just up in the top 5 prior to this stage break, and, I mean, really, Christian, this is just... It's heartbreak city for these guys to go from being up in the top 5 to just making a pit decision when they did. It put them kind of in the mid to the back of the pack, and as a result, just being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, that's a product of short track racing. Whenever you get off strategy or maybe on the correct strategy even, you still get into traffic, and it can ruin your day pretty easy. And we've seen it twice here already, you know, with Cootie and now Patton. So throughout the night, we got to watch for that on restarts whenever people were fresh out of the pits. You just gotta breathe on the throttle, act like there's an egg underneath your throttle, you know, walk on eggshells.
Yeah, that's actually a great term that is that's utilized a lot in teaching racing. Just acting like there is an egg underneath your throttle, and just being very gentle on throttle, especially on exit here. These 2 corners, you know, I would say that 2 is the hardest. I love this track, by the way. This is like one of my favorite, this may be my favorite short track. Just, I love racing it. I love watching it here. There's, for 3/4 of a mile track, it just seems like it races like a bigger track than that, just with the amount of banking and the things you can do with the car. But you definitely have to watch out for how short that exit is, especially off of turn 2. You can get carried away with thinking you got room to ride the car out, you know, that you got room to race people side by side, and there's just nothing there, especially if you're already getting loose coming through the corner, if you've been cooking that right rear tire. Really have to watch out on exit out of 2, and these drivers have a lot to think about when it's such a big field like they have here in the Icon Cup Series, but you do have to watch the car from sliding out from under you, and it's not really something that you got to think about as much at the bigger tracks. But here tonight at Richmond, just add it to your list of stuff to keep on your mind. Harper on the inside this time. He gets a little loose on the restart. Finnegan walks away on the outside.
Yeah, Finnegan wanted to maybe test which lane is going to work better for him if he continues to lead here. Outside looks a little better. Harper gets loose. Save it. He does, but someone trying to check up to avoid him. I think that was Brendan Jenks, goes around and hard into the inside wall.
Well, and Jenks has now pulled it into the pits. You got Kyle Gilbert also having an issue in the 227. So, Christian, this is... I'm seeing Jenks possibly having an issue earlier, so I'm not sure if this is entirely related. Let's watch Jenks here. Oh, it is related. He makes solid contact with Harper as Harper comes around. Let's see if we can jump back here and take a look from Harper, though, who did manage to recover that vehicle. But here he's already sideways. And coming through the corner here, let's see if we can tell exactly where it starts to go wrong for Harper. Just like middle of the straightaway. I mean, must have really spun up those tires at that point.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, at this track, you're not full throttle until almost halfway down the straightaway. It's very unique in that aspect. And you can see what happens here with Jenks if we ride on board with him. When Harper corrects it back to the right, what Jenks is thinking is that he's going to come back through the field and he's going to have to go low. But as he goes down to the left, you can see Harper saves it and gets back down to the left, and Jenks just has nowhere to go.
Jenks just immediately toes back. Frustrating stuff. I mean, that's... if I had to sum up short track racing in one nutshell, it would be frustrating. You just like in that scenario, you think you're doing everything right. Timothy Harper is up to the front end of this field, and he's made a good pit strategy to get himself there, and all of a sudden gets a little loose coming through the corner, loses it, and manages to collect another front-running car. And Christian, that's unfortunately your guy, Brendan Jenks at the Full Send Motorsports.
Yeah, the bad luck from Nora has been coming over to RICHMOND now, and we've been involved in wrecks, I think, every week. So it's just been a bad year for Full Send.
Well, the real-life teams, they go through that too, of course. You go through those roller coaster waves of good times and bad times, and certainly just got to stick in there. And I know everybody over at Full Send Esports doing their best to get those top finishes. But again, you just look at tonight, Mark Morton getting caught up in something that's not his fault. Brendan Jenks getting caught up in something that's not his fault. And I know it's one thing to say, well, that's just short track racing, but I mean, it's still just as frustrating and just as heartbreaking for these guys when they're out there and they're trying as hard as they can. And you're up there in the top 5, you're thinking that you got a chance at it, and then you just manage to get swiped up in someone else's business. But I'm sure we're going to be seeing. I mean, that was some pretty cool stuff though last week for Full Send. Though I do have to say, to see pretty much your entire team up there in the top 5 at Pocono over in the Nora Series.
Yeah, it just took me hopping behind the wheel in order to get some, I guess you could say, momentum back into the team, or maybe morale.
Yeah.
Seeing the team owner back out on the track. But yeah, I mean, me and Todd, we both finished top 10. It was a good finish for Full Send. So, but we're about to go back green and look at who's in second there, Cody Heighton at 17. Maybe he's trying to use some real-life luck, as that car was in Victory Lane today in real life.
Indeed. Height now up into second, Bissonette in third, Brian Smith into fourth. So Smith raging back towards the front where he was for so many laps, and now you see him racing Ryan Patty. As mentioned, these two already having wins alongside of Jovi Ray, and Jovi Ray not in the field here tonight, running a part-time schedule, and as a result he is not secured to be in the playoffs. But here comes Brian Smith. He's going to try once again another position. No, he does clear Patty, but here he's approaching the backside on Bissonette.
Yeah, Bissonette was running a defensive line the last 2 corners there, but this time unable to defend, as Brian Smith just has newer tires and a faster car, and he's going to go around, and Cody Height gets loose, saves it, but Patty nowhere to go, gets into the back of him there, but no caution here. But that is very unfortunate for Ryan Patty. Nowhere to go coming out of the corner, has to jam on the brakes to avoid him, loses about 10 spots there.
Cody Height with a big moment there, and he does lose a whole bunch of spots, and as a result, he's still losing spots. You've got to wonder if there's some damage on that machine. As he's continuing to lose spots, he goes up, smacks the wall again. Christian, this is just brutal here tonight. We're seeing so many drivers up there in the top 5 that are soon to be not top 5. And we're not doing the cursing on them at all. I mean, sure, maybe we're talking about them a little bit here on broadcast, but we haven't talked to them and done a in-race interview yet.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe they're just pushing it a little bit too hard, trying to get as much speed as they can. I mean, this track is, you know, I said it earlier, it's patience. It is, the slower you are, the faster you are, essentially. The easier you take it in the corners, the smoother you take it, the car is a lot better throughout the night. So these guys are starting to kind of realize that, at least some of them. Some of them are still getting onto the throttle just a little bit too much out of the corner and going around.
Well, Cody Neal, as you can see here, up into third, 18 spots gained. Brian Smith has gotten around him. Both of these teammates at 313 Motorsports moving forward in a hurry. And Brian up there into second, now going to be setting his sights on Nathan Finnegan and taking over the lead of this race once again. But Finnegan has been pretty good since he took over the lead. Currently, driver out of Rhode Island, carrying the University of Rhode Island on the cover, or on the hood of that machine. Doing a fabulous job up there leading laps, but you can just see that lead evaporating. And I think it's just a matter of time until Brian Smith is able to catch him.
Yeah, Brian Smith, he sat on pole, so obviously he's got a very fast car, or at least a good handle on the car for tonight. So right now, Finnegan's just, hoping that he can keep that clean air as long as he can, because once you're in traffic, it's a different animal. But he's setting the pace right now. He's running his line, but once you stop running your line and you have to focus on the car in front, you get slower. But Brian Smith apparently not having that issue. He is cooking off some pretty good laps here.
Nathan Finnegan doing a great job, but Brian Smith clicking them off one by one. I did see that Finnegan, he set the fastest sector one time of the race so far, but not the fastest overall lap time. So Finnegan certainly not taking anything away from him. He does seem to be able to put down a fast lap here at Richmond Raceway, and he's holding on pretty well as we're getting very close to being halfway through tonight's event. Once again, pleasure to have you over here on VirtualRacing.Network. NJ Ramirez, so great to see you out there in YouTube land, my friend. Broadcast sounds and looks great, Trevor. Thanks so much for your comment. Thanks for checking in with us, MJ. As always, MJ part of the International Open Wheel League, and a league that we know very well, did 8 seasons of broadcasting with them. It's always great to have IndyCar racers and everyone else who's interested in what we're doing here on VirtualRacing.Network in this great new series, Icon Cup Series, that is debuting this season. And it's just, it's been great racing so far. The first race at Old Atlanta kind of spoiled all of us. It was such a fantastic race from beginning to end with a full field of NASCAR next-gen machines. And here tonight, we're seeing some good short-track racing. Cody Neal picking up 18 positions. Justin Bissonnette, despite bringing out the initial caution, he's up 10 positions. Jamie Lee Dunning, who's just behind Bissonnette, looks like he may be closing in for position. 21 positions gained here at Richmond, and he's looking for more. Here goes Dunning on the low side on Bissonnette.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Dunning trying to get the Hard Charger Award for this week, and that's something cool that this league does. The person who gains the most positions gets Hard Charger, and obviously cleanest driver as well. But a little bit of a bump there from Jamie Lee Dunning to Bissonnette. Maybe a little frustrated that he can't get around him.
Well, and you mentioned the clean driving. If you do finish a race with 0x on the register, 0 incident points, you actually do collect a bonus point for that. So something, or actually 2 bonus points, I believe. So something for these drivers to shoot for over the course of an event. But again, a place like this, easier said than done, as there's very little room for racing out there at Richmond, and these cars take up a lot of space. Here's some more side-by-side. You got 2 rows of it. How about Christopher Howell and Sean Purcell there at the front edge of this group? You got Ryan Patty and Ronnie Norman back in the mix. So Norman back up into the top 10. Somewhere out there, Steven Dombrowski is cheering.
I told you last week that Ronnie Norman and Ryan Patty, they always find each other on the track. This is the 4th week in a row that these two have been battling We saw at Atlanta it was for the lead. Pocono it was for about 7th, and now we're battling for 8th here at Richmond.
This is a tight race happening here. As now you're looking at Ryan Patty and Ronnie Norman perhaps going to give a shot to Howell, or Purcell rather, up in front. Norman just getting past Patty for that position, and you see that Bissonette able to squeak off the front, as is Howell. So now Purcell kind of under attack here from Norman. Norman down to the inside. And just behind you see that's, I believe, Smith, who jumps down to the inside. Excuse me, that's Gunther, who jumps down to the inside of Smith.
Yeah, he had a big moment there through 3 and 4. He drove in a little bit too deep, locked up the brakes, and trot up the track. So
I saw that out of the corner of my eye. That was kind of a scary moment for him.
Yeah, whenever that sort of thing happens, you're just kind of along for the ride. If you overdrive the corner, you got to kind of lock up the brakes, and it's going to ruin the tires for a bit. But, we see contact there between Jacob Smith and Sean Purcell, the 4 and 04.
Well, we've got a heck of a raging battle going on for this 6th position. This is incredible stuff, as now Norman has charged to the front of this group, now up into 6th. There's Howell into 7th and Patty in 8th. And I tell you, Norman, he says it a lot, and this may be his secret right now, is he's a guy who loves to manage his tires, and Patty does too, and that could be a good reason why we're starting to see them emerge at the tail end of a very long green flag stint.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Earlier in the race, we saw Norman dropping back to clear back to 12th on that early run, but it was only about a 20-lap green flag run. We didn't really get to see the tires work, but you can see Ronnie Norman has just left these guys in the dust. So obviously saving tires, very important, as you can see, as now Patty, the other guy who's pretty good at it, pulling ahead, but we got a caution now.
This is Brock Hersey for Electric City Racing, having an issue here. It seems like he's managed to correct that machine and get it back underway. We'll take a look at this one here and jump over the top and see exactly what went down.
Let's see if he has help here, possibly from the 052. He does. Just gets run over by the 052, but no contact into the inside wall for Kurt. Well, now there is, but initially no contact for Hersey, just a little brush off the wall. So caution is going to come out for that, but you can see what happened. The 052 there, he let him by on the inside and tried crossing him over, but Hersey didn't go to the outside. He still had the inside lane. The 052 just, full-on Kyle Larson them. Didn't lift.
We've got a name for everything, don't we?
Yeah, for those who watched the race earlier, this is kind of what Larson did to Hamlin. Just, gassed it up and acted like he wasn't there.
Well, let's be fair. Hamlin's had his share of those types of incidents recently, as we've got literally everybody down on pit lane right now, and this is a stacked pit lane. Looks like Smith going to get out ahead of Finnegan and take over the lead of this race on pit road.
That is the last thing that Finnegan wanted to see happen, because we saw what happened when Brian Smith was in the lead earlier. He was just lights out, and no one could even catch him. So now that he's got that clean air and that big restart jump that he's had throughout the night, it's going to be tough to catch him.
Well, Brian Smith about a second faster on pit lane, and that's what did it for him. Not only about 0.7 faster in the actual box itself, but overall a second faster on pit lane, and you got to make up that time somewhere, Christian, and doing it on pit lane is probably just as good of a spot as any. Let's go ahead and jump to commercial break. We'll be right back here in just a minute. You're watching the Icon Cup Series Network VirtualRacing.Network. We'll see you back here in just a moment. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you all with us as we get set for the second half of this race, the fourth round of the Icon Cup Series, and we're just about to go green here. Brian Smith is right back where he started the race, in the lead. Can he hold on to it all the way to victory lane? Nathan Finnegan starting just alongside, and we're underway once again.
An absolutely amazing start there for Brian Smith yet again, and now you see Cody Neal getting underneath Nathan Finnegan. See if he's able to take away second. It doesn't look like it. It looks like Finnegan, great run out of turn two, going to be able to keep second place there.
Cody Neal racing hard, up 18 positions, racing side by side at the moment with Bissonnette. Bissonnette holding the outside. But it looks like Neal, is it going to get... Oh, Patty
no,
around.
Ryan Patty. Ronnie Norman involved.
Norman is involved. Patty slipping backwards.
We'll have to see what exactly happened, but I did see Patty get turned on his right rear into the outside wall, so we'll have to see if somebody got loose and maybe tagged him, or if he got loose and overcorrected.
Well, that's Patty. Patty was facing backwards on the track, and there's Vincent Loria getting into the middle of one of these things again. Let's see what happened from Patty as we take a look here just over the top. Looks like he comes up and just hooks himself on the front of Ronnie Norman's car.
Well, it almost looked like possibly netcode, because Ronnie did get loose there, comes down the track ever so slightly, and then saves it and goes back up, but at the same time, Patty starts going back up, so I think it's another case of just he got netcoded.
Well, let's jump down, and we'll see what it looked like from inside of Patty's machine.
You can tell it definitely seems like he got turned, but you can see that there was no contact until after he was sideways, so definitely a netcode situation.
Well, and if we jump on board with Norman, there you see Patty to the inside. I mean, Norman jumps down just a little bit, and perhaps that's enough to trigger that netcode collision, but he certainly didn't come down much on the track, and I'm sure that Ronnie Norman's sitting there going, did I? Was I the one who did that? But of course he can't jump outside of his own car to know what exactly happened. One thing that was interesting, though, on that yellow flag, let's take a look at Vincent Loria here as he was rolling up to that yellow flag. You can see he comes to a full standstill, sees Brian Patty in the way, and he decides to back up on the track. That allows Patty to swing that car around, and a pretty pro way of avoiding an incident. But right now, things just not really working out for Vincent Loria. He's lost 17 positions here tonight.
Well, the good news is he does have the hood reattached to his car.
He did manage to get that reattached. Let's see if we can get a detail on that. There you go. The Black Rifle Coffee Company happy to be back on the front of that machine.
It's not attached very well. There's some gaps there. Need to put some tape on that.
Get some Bear Bond going. Be back underway. Racer's tape as we know it. But Brian Smith doing everything tonight. He's been absolutely on fire. He was, of course, your pole sitter here tonight, then drifted back after that first round of pit stops, and then he worked his way through the field, and so far has been basically untouchable. And it's shades of some of the other drivers we've seen, of course, here at VirtualRacing.Network. I hate to even say it, but when we first started broadcasting the NORA Cup Series, Vincent Arthur was absolutely untouchable. The guy seemed like nobody could touch him. But after taking like 5 or 6 wins, he's been on a bit of a rough streak. So it just goes to show you there are ups and downs. But right now, Brian Smith riding the high, and he rides that high side right past the start-finish line. We're under green here again at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, Finnegan with a better start than last time. He's going to be able to clear Bissonette here coming out of turn 2 as he gets a little bit loose. Still not going to be too much of a factor for him as he's going to be able to drive off into turn 3 and work the bottom here underneath Bissonette. Cody Neal behind him, then Jamie Lee Dunning, and I believe that's Jacob Smith side by side for 5th.
Bissonette and Finnegan racing side by side for 2nd place on the track at the moment. We got another caution.
I'm blaming you, Trevor. We talked under caution last time. You said there's going to be a caution again.
I knew it. Unfortunately, I don't know who this one is for. I'm going to have to take a shot in the dark here. Not really sure who it is, unfortunately. Somebody bringing out a caution for some reason. We're going to take a moment here to jump to commercial break. We'll be right back. We're going to try to talk with one of these drivers in the cockpit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's been a fiery show so far here at Richmond Raceway. Is currently under caution. This is our 8th incident caution, and we do have a chance here to be joined in the booth by none other than the driver of the number 6 machine. It's Nathan Finnegan. He's currently running in 2nd place for Collar City Racing. And Nathan, got your partner Justin Bissonette over at Collar City just behind you. It's been looking good for you so far. You led some laps. How's it feeling for you out there?
Pretty good, guys. Appreciate you pulling me in. Yeah, it's handling well in the corners. Good tire wear. Honestly, if we can get a good long run, I feel like we got the pace tonight. So.
Well, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is this guy over here, Brian Smith. He's been darn good, practically untouchable. He took the pole position. What do you think it's going to take to be able to beat this guy tonight?
Yeah, I think honestly in the long run we got the tire. We were starting to pull away in that last run, and then yeah, the pit strategy ended up him and the number one pit stall definitely played into his hand. But yeah, I mean we got 80 laps to go. We'll see what we can make of it.
Any issues so far with the track? Is it we're noticing some guys really have struggling with getting loose out there. You fighting any sort of loose conditions?
No, honestly, now that we're cooling off and the night's setting in, actually, it's getting a little bit better, a little bit more drivey. Good grip off the exit. Just got to keep pedaling it. You know, the setup's definitely loose compared to what a lot of short tracks feel like. So.
Well, good luck with the end of this one. We'll be talking to you afterwards, I'm sure. And thanks again for all that you do out there for the Icon Series as well.
Hey, likewise, guys. Appreciate you.
So that is Nathan Finnegan. He's sitting in second place on the track. He's got his partner in racing out there, Color City Racing, Justin Bissonette, just behind. Things are good, but they could be better, Christian. And do you think Finnegan's got something for Smith on the track?
Oh, I'm still muted there. Brian Smith, you know, he's been lights out, so I don't know. We'll have to see here.
It's been rough. I mean, in terms of if you're anybody other than Brian Smith, we've had guys drifting backwards. We've had guys crashing out after they've been in the top 5. But, you know, it's actually been surprisingly clean. We've seen, not going to name names, but we've seen certain leagues here on VirtualRacing.Network where the racing is not quite as clean as this. But, you know, still 78 laps to go here, and we may see some of the gloves come off as we get down to the end of this one. It's Brian Smith on the outside. He'll lead it back to the green. No problem for him, but Nathan Finnegan, he's got his mirror filled with Justin Bissonette. And on the outside, Cody Neal. Neal now drifting backwards there. Actually, that's, excuse me, I misspoke. That's not Neal on the outside. Neal sitting there in third position. And of course, that is the number 3 car.
Yeah, that's Cody Neal on the outside. He's in the 56, but has the 3 on the car. Neal working on the outside of Jacob Smith, but he's almost kind of stuck on the outside, not making it work. As now Jacob Smith going to pull into 4th place there. And now Jamie Lee Dunning in 6th with Norman in 7th and Howe in 8th.
Well, Smith doing a fabulous job of 19 spots in his Ford. We've got a car around. I believe that
was Anthony Campbell.
Indeed, Campbell looking good in that new livery out there, but unfortunately bringing out yet another caution as favorite color of the moment seems to be yellow. And there was no contact with anybody. It looks like he just got it loose.
Yeah, he got it loose, was able to lock it down, keep off the wall. So no contact there for Anthony, and he'll be able to keep going here throughout this race. We just heard Nathan say that the tires were starting to grip up, but apparently not for everybody.
Well, I do wonder, I mean, of course, he wouldn't have to divulge the information, but you do have to wonder if the reason why some of these guys are experiencing those spins and some are not may be because of their brake bias settings, and some of these drivers may have pretty aggressive brake bias settings to try to get those cars stopped earlier in the corners. Here's Thomas Taylor down on pit lane in 19th place. Vincent Loria also sitting there on pit lane. Mike Jennings, haven't talked about him at all tonight, but there he is in the number 16. Of course, you remember the proud sponsor of the Lymphoma 151 here a couple of weeks ago, and still carrying that great sponsorship on his hood each and every night that he's racing out here in the Icon Cup Series. And Kyle Gilbert also sitting on pit lane at the moment. Pretty much everyone else who is behind him is off of the lead lap and kind of either sitting on pit road waiting for damages to be repaired or have retired from the race. So currently out of the race at the moment, Jenks, Patton, Cootie, Morton, and William Baker, who never started here tonight. And it sounded like I may have cut away from that a little too early. Was that somebody having a moment there? Sounded like a spin in the background, but looks like everything seems to be okay at the moment. Back up at the front, though, it will be Brian Smith launching this green flag. As we come back around, we'll take another momentary break, and we'll be right back with lots more green flag racing right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Richmond Raceway. We're about to get back under green here. Can Brian Smith continue his reign at the front of this race? We're going again here at Richmond Raceway, and it looks like Jacob Smith may have Nathan Finnegan's number for second place.
Well, Finnegan fighting back on the inside here. We'll have to see if he's able to clear him through 3 and 4. Smith, with a good restart there, was able to get a little bit of a gap on Finnegan, but Finnegan has closed it back up and dead even at the line there that lap.
Finnegan able to just steal that position, and now it's Neal and Bissonnette racing side by side for that position. There's Cody Neal in that number 56, despite what that number may be on the car. Racing ahead of Justin Bissonnette, and that time it was Nathan Finnegan who set the fastest lap of the race with a 22:50. So
yeah, with the lights on now and the track cooling off, you're going to see these lap times continue to get faster and faster as the tires get a little bit of heat in them. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another fast lap that lap.
Well, here comes Jamie Lee Dunning. He sends it into the corner. Perhaps makes a little bit of contact with Neal. Neal continuing on the outside, though, and a little bit of rubbing is racing. We keep going here. No harm, no foul. Just behind, there's the battle going on between Bissonnette and Christopher Howell. Howell for Average Joe Motorsports. Haven't been talking about him extensively, but he's been up 17 positions from where he started. Number of these drivers, you got Jamie Lee Dunning up 21 spots, so I mean, tough to say who's the odds-on favorite for that Hard Charger award for the night, but some of these drivers really doing their best to try to capture that award. Jacob Smith up 20 spots, so a lot of these drivers really racing hard coming from the back. Some more side-by-side racing a little bit further back. This is for 15th spot. Kevin Gunther racing with Brad Slagle. And Gunther emerges ahead. Slagle now actually getting passed by Purcell as well. There comes Jennings.
Mike Jennings going to get underneath him, and now Vincent Loria right on the back bumper of Slagle. He's going to now look low. So Slagle with a problem.
Slagle really struggling here, perhaps getting into the wall, having a little bit of contact. His last time in the pits was lap 104, so it's been a while, but not that long. Not sure exactly what's going on with Slagle, but he is definitely sliding towards the back of the field at the moment. The 052 machine is just not able to get around here as fast as everybody else. Almost a full second slower that time than everybody else on track.
Yeah, I think the few cars that are in front of him right now, I think the 73, the 67, 16, they all pit and have fresh tires. As now we see the 73 with a very loose moment, going to catch it and continue on. It's going to stay ahead of the 052.
That number 73 is glistening out there. Beautiful paint job on board by Snyder Graphics, but unfortunately just racing it out there for 18th, and he now gets sideways and almost buys the farm.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, but once you get loose that first time, it burns up that right rear tire, so the next few laps you got to take it super easy and act like there's a... Oh, we got trouble here. Mike Jennings mowing some grass.
He's mowing some grass, but he pulls it back on track and manages to keep it going a little sideways there through the corner. Looks like he's done some damage. I'm not sure. Manages to get it going again and keeps it from bringing out the yellow. So fortunately, we stay clear. Oh, and there is the yellow flag, but that's for Campbell.
Well, looks like the right rear was burned up so much, and he finally sent it around fully here. We'll have to take a look at exactly what happens. Oh, he's going to get onto the apron, and it's just going to go around on him. Yeah, that is not a place you want to be. That apron is ice.
Well, we've certainly talked about this over and over and over again. I mean, there are a few tracks out there, like probably less than a handful of tracks on the NASCAR schedule that you can actually get below that apron in the corners. Otherwise, it's just a general good idea. Never get down below there, but of course, if it gets sideways, there's not really much you can do about it. Hey, everybody making their way down onto pit lane.
Yeah, this is going to be the last stop of the night for a lot of them. You know, track position's everything, so these guys getting their last stop of the night in, and we're going to see who is the leader. It looks like the 57 going to stay out, actually.
Thomas Taylor making a gutsy call, but then again, a lot of laps of yellow perhaps yet to come here tonight, or perhaps some more cautions. Either way, it is Smith who gets out once again in front of Finnegan, and they do take that final set of tires. Jacob Smith going to be in third spot, Cody Neal in fourth, and Justin Bissonnette, that is of course behind Thomas Taylor, but Thomas Taylor now brings it down onto pit lane as well, so that will cycle all of those drivers who I just mentioned up to the front. So we're going to take a moment, catch our breath. We'll be right back here on VirtualRacing.Network. And welcome back to Richmond Raceway. We're going green again. This time Finnegan holding pretty strong with Smith on this restart.
Finnegan's he's starting to get that timing down. Jacob Smith underneath Cody Neal for third here.
This is a hard battle for third place on the track. Finnegan all over the back end of Smith.
You got to wonder, we're coming to about 50 to go in this. You know, it's so hard to pass. Do we see maybe the bumper get applied and never mind, there's a caution?
Adam Ball this time doing the dirty work of bringing out the yellow flag. Ball, the 42-year-old out of Clovis, New Mexico. What happened here? Let's take a look. That's a beautiful livery he's got going on there. And let's see exactly what takes place for Ball.
Oh, man. That is not what you want to see on your radar.
No, it looks like perhaps he got a little loose and managed to come down the track. Let's see if we take a look on board, if that's any indicator. And he does. Just gets sideways and nowhere to go. I'm not sure who that was behind. Could have been
that was Sean Purcell?
I was going to say that did look like Purcell, so take one look at that.
Yeah, it looks like 19 just starts getting a little bit loose, and Purcell, he checks up, but just not enough, and sends Ball around in that, it looks like it's a storm on his car, a radar. So that's why I brought it up. He doesn't like it on his radar. He's a storm chaser out there, you know? Hey, first one of the night.
Well, you know, right about now is when it starts. What caution are we on here? 12th caution of the night in 151 laps. And it's a good time to talk about what it's like to survive a race where there's a caution on average about every 12 or 13 laps. Christian, you've done these races where there's a lot of cautions. Now, we have had some really long green flag runs in here as well, so it hasn't been exclusively caution-filled, but you know, what's it like to run in one of these races? How do you survive? I mean, is there a strategy? Do you like drink some cold water? You slap yourself in the face? How do you stay awake if you got, you know, all of these cautions and pacing laps at 60 miles an hour?
Well, I know for me, under caution on, I think it was last Monday at Pocono, I would just yell at my drivers randomly, try to keep them awake, try to scare them awake. Mostly. We usually pick on Todd a lot. You know, it's easy. So we keep it fun in the chat, so that's how we stay focused.
Indeed, and usually over driver chat, which of course we don't have the voice chat turned on here for obvious reasons. We have to keep this a family-friendly
Do you have the censor button as a soundboard? Because we'd be using that a lot.
There's no way I can stay on top of that, and we are not under delay here, so we are truly live. There is no delay, and there's no chance for anybody to bleep anybody out. But yeah, let's just say that it's one of the most entertaining parts of being on iRacing, that driver chat that goes on, the voice chat that goes on. Certainly on track it can be quite heated, but it can be quite entertaining during the cautions, as everybody has a different opinion about everything, and certainly
it's when you find out what your competitors also like to eat. You know, you talk about favorite foods out there. Mine's tacos, you know. You find that stuff out under cautions.
I would have thought it was grandma's spaghetti.
No, not quite.
Not quite. Tacos.
Not quite.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a guy who grew up in Southern California. I hear you on the tacos. But yeah, it is a lot of fun, and you got to. I mean, there's so much randomness going on, and certainly here in the league, a lot of these guys are going to know each other, and over the course of the season, you'll get a lot of that camaraderie and bickering back and forth. Either way, You got to keep it clean, otherwise you get penalized. And Finnegan gets a poor start and almost gets moved by Cody Neal.
Yeah, a little bit loose there under power, as now Jacob Smith going to try to clear Finnegan, but not going to make it work. He's actually going to get a little bit.
And
loose
we've got
off the
Cody
corners. We got
Height.
trouble. Yeah, Cody Height and Ronnie Norman.
Height having a big issue now, all the way back to 21st. No idea what happened. Oh, he was racing side by side. This was just a moment ago with Ronnie Norman. He catches Norman, and then there comes Patty. Is there something to this? Oh, Height just loses it and slides up into the side of Norman, and Norman just very lucky to survive that one.
I can't believe that wasn't a caution. Cody Height able to keep it straight and keep it going. That was, I mean, he was like, I would say 70 degrees sideways. And now we see an issue with Jamie Lee Dunning.
Yeah, this is Jamie Lee Dunning bringing it down, crashing to the low side. This still has not brought out the yellow flag. He gets it going again. So a couple of drivers really struggling. We're still under green here. And that time by, Finnegan got by Jacob Smith. So he just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, that, you know, with the temperatures going down, the speeds are going up, and I kind of predicted it that the fastest lap time, we haven't seen it yet. We are under caution here for Brad Slagle. He is around on the backstretch here.
As the field starts to come around, he does get it fired up again. Let's see if we can tell what happened with Slagle. Was he involved with someone else to cause this, or was it a single car incident? Wow. Quite violent whipping around there. We'll have to jump over the top to see if we can tell. That's already partially through there. Let's see if we can back it up a little bit further. He's just all by himself and loses control. Another case of the tires getting loose and spinning to the inside there. So we're under caution once again here at Richmond Raceway. Cautions breeding cautions, and it's been the racing's been excellent when we've stayed green, and it's just been a little too many cautions to keep it consistent and be able to work out those strategies. Now we see Height and Gilbert on pit lane.
Yeah, I think it was Denny Hamlin says it best. He said, "Well, that's just short track racing," you know. So that's basically what this is. I mean, it doesn't matter what league runs Richmond. It's going to be caution filled. It's a tough track. It's one of the toughest out there. So not surprised that there's 13 cautions. I mean, we saw more than 20 at New Hampshire. So this is very good compared to New Hampshire.
Well, we are now officially 38 laps away from the completion of this one. Appreciate everybody joining us over on YouTube. Once again, great chance to mention the big subscribe button, and you're going to want to do that because we have so much great NASCAR coverage happening right here on VirtualRacing.Network, including the entirety of the Icon Cup Series. You can see it down at the bottom of the screen, all of the schedule, so you can write it on your calendars manually. I know that's weird to have like a pen and paper in 2023, but if you're one of those people who does that, feel free. Otherwise, you can just subscribe and click the notification bell, and you'll know when the upcoming races are happening here on VirtualRacing.Network. And of course, you won't want to miss tomorrow night or Tuesday night as well. Monday night is our NORA Truck Series night here on VirtualRacing.Network. And of course, we'll be right back here at Richmond Raceway, night number 2 at Richmond. So if you love short track racing, you'll love tomorrow night as well. And then Tuesday night, we bring back the NASCAR Next Gen machines for the NORA Cup Series, and that should be a bundle of fun as well, as that series is both the Truck and the Cup Series over in NORA are getting very close. I think this is the final race of the regular season for the NORA Truck Series, and this should be an absolute smash fest. I mean,
there is a reason that I'm in the booth tomorrow and I'm not on track.
I have no idea what it's going to be like. I know there are a number of drivers who have a chance to get in on points, but really anybody who's outside of the cutoff to get into the playoffs is going to be vying for a win, and it should be something that nobody wants to miss here. So be here tomorrow night for the NORA Truck Series, and then NORA Cup Series should be a hoot on Tuesday night as well. And Christian, we're just coming back to the green here. After this one, we got 35 laps to survive. Mostly this field has already made their final pit stops. I guess you just put your foot down and try and pass as many cars as you can. We're back underway here at Richmond.
Really good start for Nathan Finnegan. He did something that a lot of drivers kind of get scared to do. He gets right on the door. Brad Smith, as he drifts up the track. Oh.
Brian's first mistake of the night, and it costs him big. He drifts all the way back to fourth, and now he makes contact. It goes from bad to worse for Smith, and they're still wrecking.
A lot of cars. Oh, goodness.
4 or 5 cars collected in this one. Me oh my. Cody Neal caught up in this one. Brad Slagle. Brock Hersey. Thomas Taylor. Kyle Gilbert. A number of drivers caught in this one, and we're going to have to take a look over the top and see exactly what happened to start this one off. And I think Brian Smith is going to be at the center of all of this. Let's see. Let's jump back to the green flag, and let's just leave the camera over the top of Brian Smith and take us through what happens here, Christian.
Well, you can see right here, Finnegan already on the door trying to guess the timing of the start. You see Bissonette get into the back of the 78. And I said it, that Finnegan had a great start, and then you can see going into the corner, Smith gets onto the brakes, wheel hops a little bit, gets loose, and now he's in recovery mode. He's got to try to refocus, doesn't realize that he's 3 wide, comes down and turns himself off the 88, and then just from there, people wreck the whole way on the bottom there. Norman, I believe, I saw got sideways, saved it. Just nowhere to go once you get loose in front of this field, especially in that corner.
Well, this is quite a turn of events, as Brian Smith has been absolutely unstoppable out there tonight. And at the same time, he makes his first mistake, and it costs him absolutely dearly. Once again, he heads into the corner, just getting sideways loose. It's as though it's the same problem that's happened before, where he just had the wrong brake bias set for the restart or something, but perhaps just tried to carry too much speed in, and my goodness, how it goes from almost a sure lock on a win, now currently back in 18th position. Let's take a look how this all went down for a number of the other drivers in the field. You mentioned Ronnie Norman. Well, let's take a look at what Ronnie Norman saw as this all went down. Oh my!
Oh man!
Did he hit the barrels at the front of pit entrance?
Almost did. He hit something.
Let's take a look from the outside of the car. Did he make? I think he did, because there's a mark on the left front of that nose of the car.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it's there after that. He actually hit the barrels at the end of pit lane, and we'll see if there's a way to get a better shot of it. I don't know if we have a camera that focuses right there, so we'll have to do our best here, but this is him coming down, and he makes contact. He is so lucky. If he had been another couple of inches to the left, that would have stacked him right into the end of pit road.
Yeah, that would have been a lot worse for the field too, because him coming to a dead stop, somebody would have been able to hit him in the back bumper, and it would have caused a massive pileup. So he's able to keep it straight somehow. Same with Christopher Howe as well, and kind of limit this to as much as I can say limit it. It was still a lot of cars, but limited a lot more here. Cody Neal gets turned around in that one, kind of gets ping ponged around. Hersey into the wall pretty hard there on the inside.
Well, that was a lot of cars caught up in that one, and you have to look over at Nathan Finnegan, who's back underway here as we're under green, and he inherits the lead. He did nothing to cause it, and now it looks like Jacob Smith turns Justin Bissonnette at the start of that one.
Yeah, that's a product of single file restarts. You only have one car in front of you, and you got to get around them. So that's the way to get around them.
Well, and I have a note that unfortunately I think Mike Jennings got caught up in that mess as well, perhaps a little bit later. So let's see if we can tell what happened. This was taking a look. First we'll look at Jacob Smith, who manages to tag the back end of Bissonnette and send him around on the green flag. He's just trying to stay up with him on the restart.
Exactly, and then he's going to look low here, but just didn't go low enough and gets into Bissonnette and turns him around. This is a product of single file because you stack up so much anticipating the start. It causes guys to be more aggressive on these single file restarts because they dive bomb going into turn one. Will push harder on the brakes going into turn one, and it causes this massive stack up.
Well, it looks like Mike Jennings perhaps touches the wall. Trying to figure out exactly what caused him to have a crash here.
He's just going to go around on his own, hits the brakes, and goes around.
Cody
right
Height.
in front of Cody Height. That's another wheel hop incident. Heavy on the rear brake bias, the rear cylinders, and goes around as the pace truck almost takes him out.
You'd think the word would be circulating perhaps amongst the team. But Cody Eldred getting down there for the detached house of speed, getting onto pit lane. Brock Hersey currently sitting down there on pit lane. As you said, he took some pretty sizable damage in that incident earlier. But Finnegan out front, and I hadn't gotten much of a chance to mention that before our next yellow came out, but, you know, he did nothing to cause that Brian Smith error, but here he is sitting in front, a great chance to possibly take this victory. Jacob Smith sitting just behind. It's a possibility Smith might have something to say about it, but we're underway again here at Richmond. They're racing really hard just behind as well. That's Patty and Vincent Loria, who've just managed to move into third and fourth. And then Bissonnette has managed to get back there into fifth place. Howell in sixth. Timothy Harper back in this one. He's in seventh place back here, racing it out side by side with Christopher Howell.
And somehow Ronnie Norman also still in the top 10 after hitting the barrels. And a lot of them get loose out of that corner. I saw about 3 cars jump a lane at least out of that corner. I think one of them was Patty, because now Vincent Loyer too is outside.
Well, Patty now racing side by side with Loria for that third spot. And fastest sector one time coming from Finnegan, but I'm hearing some crunching happening, and that's Jennings again. This time bringing out the yellow himself. 29-year-old out of Troy, New York. Let's back it up and see what happened with old Mike Jennings. Wow. Christian, my goodness, that is just something else.
That's the hardest hit we've seen tonight. That was, man.
I mean,
He starts getting ever so slightly loose on the brakes, like we've seen throughout the night, and then he just overcorrects and whammo into the wall, and then another whammo.
that was Thomas Taylor. No, who was that? Yeah, it was Thomas Taylor who collected him. Let's check that out one more time here from Thomas's point of view, because he took almost as bad of a shot with the ricocheting Mike Jennings. My, wow. It's like a missile coming out of nowhere. And now he's got some damage to that machine. Look at the right front on that
car.
Watch
going into this corner. He can't turn. It just goes straight to the wall.
Oh my goodness.
That car can't turn.
See the left or the right front fender torn up on that machine, waving around.
Yeah, that right side wheel, it was not turning. It was not connected to the ground. So whenever you go into that corner, your right front tire is the main reason that you're able to turn. And yeah, he sailed it off.
I tell you what, though, it's really cool to see that damage flopping around on that car.
It is.
It's very realistic. It's difficult for Thomas Taylor, but certainly for those of us that have been sim racing for a very long time, to see that kind of realistic damage starting to really come out here in iRacing, it's very exciting. Jump back to the live picture, and Nathan Finnegan is still leading this race. 21 laps remain. We'll be right back here on VirtualRacing.Network. Will we get 19, 18 laps of green flag racing? It's possible. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back on VirtualRacing.Network. Just under 20 laps remain for round number 4 of the Icon Cup Series. Double file restart this time. Maybe that'll avoid some of the incidents we've seen. But Finnegan leads us back to green here with Patty and Smith and Loria just behind.
Yeah, Smith with a decent restart here, but Ryan Patty with an even better one, restarting there on the outside row in fourth with this double file restart. And now you see he's going to possibly pull ahead of Jacob Smith here and get into second place.
Oh,
almost clear, not quite. Oh, look at the dive bomb from behind Bissonette underneath Loria. Oh, Smith turns him.
He turns him, and now they're really wrecking. Fortunately, I think it's just 2 cars who get caught up in that one. It could have been a lot bigger, but Patty taken out by Smith from the top 2 positions.
That's actually the second time that Smith has been sending someone who's in second place off his front bumper. So Nathan Finnegan better be scared.
I would certainly be scared if I were Finnegan in that 6 machine.
Oh, well, actually, I think the 4 gets collected here. I don't think he's in second anymore. Yeah, he gets hard into the inside wall, so that 4 car is going to be back in the field pretty deep.
Let's see what it looked like from Finnegan's, or from Smith's point of view. I have to find him. He's now all the way back in the field. Here we go.
I think what you're going to hear is he's going to gas it up a little bit earlier than what Patty does. We'll take a listen here and ride on board.
It's hard to tell. They're kind of, I don't know that they're fully into the the accelerate phase off the corner. They're still kind of in the coast phase. But
yeah, I think Patty was taking it a little bit easier than Jacob was. He was able to get the power down a little better than Patty and just kind of drove into the back of him, not expecting Patty to still not be on the throttle there. We'll take a listen here.
I mean, Patty's still on the low lane when the contact happens, so it's just there's just no room there for Smith to come through. I'm not sure. I guess Smith was just trying to be aggressive, trying to come through and make a gap where there was none, but you got to be aggressive on a short track to make those passes. Unfortunately, that might have been a little bit too aggressive, and as a result, Patty now having to make his way down onto pit lane and get some damage repair. That machine, I hope the whole crew has their DeWalt's ready to go, because they're going to need to do some real work on that thing.
Well, I tell you who's liking these cautions, Nathan Finnegan. He's loving it.
Indeed. Finnegan, I mean, what can I say? It began with really Brian Smith and his incident, and it's just like made it easier and easier and easier for him to potentially take his first victory here in the Icon Cup Series. And you're looking at 12 laps to go, and possibly he can steal this show.
Speaking of Brian Smith, don't look now, but he's in 5th place. He is coming back up through this field.
Well, it's several of the cars that were in front of him are now gone. And so, as the world turns here in the Icon Cup Series, are we going to go single file again for the restart, or is this double file?
I believe double. Yeah, it's double file.
Okay. Whew. Well, Vincent Loria will be starting in 2nd place on the inside, and Finnegan on the outside. You'll have Christopher Howell, Justin Bissonette. Look who else is in the mix. That's Tim Harper. Harper would love to get a top 3, if not somehow get up there and take that victory. A lot of these drivers that are at the front. How about Cody Height recovering? He's now top 10. Jamie Lee Dunning just sitting outside the top 10 again. So a number of these drivers back in position. Bissonette back into 4th. Christopher Howell up there into 3rd. I can't believe Loria is now in 2nd. Finnegan gets the drop on everybody. Loria kind of struggling there with that, and he's going to get passed by Bissonette, I believe, heading into turn 1.
He's certainly going to try. Loria is going to try using the outside to hold off Bissonette, but that was an amazing restart for Justin Bissonette. And now you can see how dominant that outside lane is. Once you have a car underneath you, you're able to kind of hold him off on the outside, and Loria is going to be able to do so, but Bissonette's still going to say, I'm going to send it in there on the bottom. Oh, never mind. He's got help. Brian Smith, he wants this win. He's back into 2nd place as now Christopher Howell goes around the 3 of Cody Neal. Well, the 56.
We've got
a caution now.
I've got Howell sliding backwards, Cody Eldred officially crashing at the moment, and there is a caution out. We're going to have to take a look at a couple of things here. First, let's take a look at what happened with Cody Eldred.
Yeah, it all started up ahead of him with Christopher Howell, but looks like he went down to go into the corner, and Ryan Patty was there. He just kind of turned himself off Patty's nose, but I mean, I don't know how the guys in front of him did not wreck. They were 4 or 5 wide down the backstretch there, bouncing off of each other, and somehow Eldred, the only one that went around.
But this is the move we really want to look at here. This is the move from Smith to get around Vincent Loria and Bissonnette.
He's already there on the inside. Let's see if... Looks like Bissonnette tried turning down into the corner, and Smith was still there. He was able to make it stick, and he just moved up and got into second place. So now things are going to get interesting now.
This is setting up for one of the most interesting ways to finish this one out I could possibly imagine, as we saw these two reversed about 70 laps ago. It was Brian Smith up in front of Nathan Finnegan, and Smith looked absolutely untouchable. That last lap, I believe it was Finnegan who set the fastest Sector 2 time of the entire race. And now it's going to be Finnegan who will start ahead of Brian Smith. And Smith, as you just saw, lacking nothing in the aggression department, as you see now Patty down onto pit road, as well as Campbell pulling off of pit road just in front of this group, so just barely getting back out there.
We need to go back real quick and see what happened with Christopher Howe and the entire field, because somehow Howe is now the whole way back to 9th, and Ronnie Norman went from 9th to 5th. So I have no idea what happened with Christopher Howe here. I
saw it looked like Harper was involved in some of that as well. Howe back in 9th now, so let's see what happens here. Yeah, there's a big stack up there with Harper and Height, and then looks like Howe...
Cody Neal, Sean Purcell.
Yeah, a number of these drivers, and then Howe kind of riding it out on the top side when the yellow comes out. So, not exactly...
Norman just lucky right there. He drove right underneath all of that and gained 4 or 5 spots.
Well,
my goodness.
Stormin' Norman pulls it back into the top 5. Could we have Norman possibly in the podium position before the end of this one? We're going to come back to green here in just a moment, and it's going to be, I believe, about 4 laps to go for Nathan Finnegan to take victory at Richmond. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You won't want to miss this shootout to the checkered flag. And we're back live here at VirtualRacing.Network. Just 4 laps to go. It's anyone's race at the front of this one. Finnegan going to be on the outside. Smith just behind on the inside. And now Smith doesn't get the stellar restart, but it's Justin Bissonnette. Bissonnette going to look down to the inside of Finnegan. No, he doesn't quite have the pace to get by him into turn number 1. But here comes Brian Smith on the outside. He's going to take the position, as is Vincent Loria on the outside. So Smith back into that second place. Just 3 laps to go this time by for Nathan Finnegan to take his first victory here in the Icon Cup Series.
Yeah, that restart, Nathan Finnegan was telling his teammate in the 06 of Bissonnette when to go, and they were able to get a good start and get a good push to Nathan Finnegan, with Brian Smith giving it everything he's got as he's come to get 2 to go here. Can he catch Finnegan?
2 to go, but I don't know if he can reach up there, because Finnegan is also the fastest car on track that time, almost a 10th faster. We do have the caution before the yellow comes out, or before the white flag comes out, though, and you know what that means. Green, white, checkered. Cody Eldred, I believe that time, let's see. No, Sean Purcell, or is it Jacob Smith? there's a couple of different notes here. So let's go and see if it's Jacob Smith. He is still sitting slow on the backstretch. Go and check this one out. Smith racing on the low side of Purcell, and Smith just kind of drifts up the track into Purcell, hits the wall, and spins around, and tries to get that one corrected as fast as he can, but almost collects another car in the process. Not sure what to say about this one, and you know who is really upset to see this yellow flag come out, Christian?
That would be Nathan Finnegan in that 6 car. He saw nothing but green grass ahead of him, and then he ended up seeing a lot of yellow, which he did not want to see.
Man, he was tasting that victory champagne. It was, the white flag never seemed more visible. He's probably saying, "No, I saw Barney the Flagman get that white flag out. I saw it. It happened. What do you mean we've got a yellow flag?" Well, he's going to have to do it again. He's going to have to hold off Brian Smith. And I don't know. It's easier said than done. Smith did not really get a good restart. Blade Timmons checking in over here on YouTube. Wish I was running tonight. Hey, man, we wish you were out there as well. It's a shame that you're not. We'd love to see you back out there for the Harper Motorsports gang. And also, Ghostface Killa reporting in, I miss Cootie. Well, Ghostface Killa.
Interesting.
I wonder, is that a reference to Ghostfacers? You'll have to tell me over there in the YouTube chat. I have no idea. But, yeah, well, unfortunately, Cootie was up there. He was running at the front of this one for a while, and he got caught up just like a few of these drivers did. Caught up in some other drivers' messes and went from potential podium position to sitting on pit lane. But we're going to come back to green with this one with, green, white, checkered. And all we got to do is make it to that white flag, and then it will be victory should a yellow come out for whoever is in the lead. Right now, it's Nathan Finnegan, though Brian Smith wants to take the lead temporarily on the track. He's saying, "I'm going to take that lead from you, Finnegan." So we've got a heck of a battle brewing here. Bissonette almost taking the spot away from Brian Smith on that restart. Vincent Loria right there as well, and Storm and Ronnie Norman in 5th. How about Cody Height up there into 6th place? Timmy Harper. All these drivers racing for Harper Motorsports, and it's kind of weird that they're all together there. You sure hope that doesn't end in tears, but here we go. We're getting ready, Christian. This could be the shootout that we've all been waiting for. Brian Smith and Nathan Finnegan, they're going to have to make it around 3 more laps to decide this one.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if Finnegan and Bissonette are going to work together here on the restart again to jump Brian Smith. We'll have to see as they're in the restart zone. Finnegan away. Smith with a better restart this time. He's going to stay even with Bissonette going into the corner.
Smith sends it in. Gives Bissonette something to think about. But right now, it's all Nathan Finnegan up in front.
He's within reach of that number 6. Let's see if he makes a bold move here in either turn 1 or turn 3 this lap as we take the white flag.
That means it's official now as Bissonette under attack from Loria for 3rd. We've got, that's Cody Height spinning up the track, I believe. We stay green here, more cars spinning in the background. But Finnegan, is he going to be under attack from Smith? It won't matter. Finnegan going to take victory here at Richmond Raceway.
Oh, now trouble after the start-finish line there. It looked like Bissonette and Loria not happy with each other, but there was some stuff that entire last lap we'll have to go back and take a look at. Cody Height to start it. Something happened with Cody Height, and then we saw the 052 of Slagle, I believe, going around. So we'll have to take a look at what happened there as some post-race stuff going on there between Vincent Loria and Justin Bissonette. But here's Cody Height. Let's take a look at what happened here to Cody as we come to get the white flag here. They go 3 wide. And, oh, man, Cody just overdrives the corner. I think he's going to save it here. Oh, nope, he looped it back around.
Well, at least he doesn't make contact with anyone else. And then we had Slagle. This might have been after the checkered flag had already come out, but Slagle getting turned sideways here, collecting several other cars, or almost collecting them in the process. I think that just looked a lot worse than we thought it was going to look, but either way, everybody, I think Bissonette having a moment there after the checkered flag came out, but Finnegan out there doing some donuts for the fans, and what a heck of a finish. We're going to go ahead and catch our breath. We're going to put the official results up there on the screen, and we'll be talking with the top 3 finishers from Richmond Raceway, round number 4 of the Icon Cup Series here in just a moment. Stay tuned. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. You saw it live. It was Nathan Finnegan taking his very first ever victory in the new Icon Cup Series. And what a great place to do it at a short track here. This is, I mean, it certainly took a lot to get this victory here tonight. And he had to do it with a hard-charging Brian Smith on his tail. Congratulations to Nathan Finnegan taking that first victory. Second place going to Brian Smith. He's already taken victory, so he's punched his ticket. Of course, Finnegan punching his ticket into the playoffs of the Icon Cup Series. It's great to get that done nice and early, not have to worry about that as the season goes on. Justin Bissonette, he had a chance at possibly taking second place or maybe even further, but not to work out. Either way, still taking third place here tonight. Vincent Loria in 4th place. Cody Neal, 5th place. 6th going to Timothy Harper. 7th, Ronnie Norman. 8th place to Christopher Howell. 9th, Jamie Lee Dunning. 10th to Kevin Gunther. 11th, Sean Purcell. 12th, Adam Ball. 12th, Adam Ball. 13th, Tanner Dio. 14th, Cody Eldred. 15th, Jacob Smith. 16th, Ryan Patty. 17th, Anthony Campbell. 18th, Cody Height. Taking a look at the last drivers on the finishing order. 19th going to Brad Slagle, the last car on the lead lap. And then Kyle Gilbert finishes 5 laps down. Brock Hersey, Thomas Taylor, Mike Jennings, Brendan Jenks, Scott Patton, Andrew Cody, Mark Morton, and William Baker round out the field. And a lot of these drivers getting caught up in other people's incidents out there, but either way, we're going to get a chance to chat with our top 3 here in the Icon Cup Series Victory Lane discussion area, and I think the first one up in that order is going to be Justin Bissonette. So let's see if we can get Justin here into the booth. And hey, Justin, this is Trevor Greenfield. Congratulations. You taking 3rd place, and you had a great race there. What a great way to take podium position here at a short track like Richmond.
Hey, thanks guys. Yeah, it was a pretty chaotic way to the front, but got there. Somehow kept all 4 wheels on it after getting roughed up throughout. It was a pretty long race tonight, but yeah, overall, great night, and happy for Nathan to take home that W.
Well, certainly your teammate there, and you were racing nose to tail with him for a lot of this race, and you saw Brian Smith inside, outside. He was up in front, then he was in the back. You had a good shootout with him there at the end of the race. Hard-fought race, a lot of close side-by-side racing. Was it too close at any point, or did you feel like everybody gave each other room?
It felt like once we kind of got out of our own way at the beginning of the race, we leveled out pretty well, and we kind of hit that sweet spot for about a solid, I would say, like 75, 80 laps. And then it seemed once we got to that last 50, it was all take, no give, and seems like some emotions were starting to run high, so some people started swinging for the fences a little too early.
Well, you certainly did shoot for the fences. We saw you take it down to the low side on Smith and others, but you did manage to keep it clean out there. Were you battling anything on the track itself? Was it feeling slippery to you? We noticed a lot of drivers out there ending up spinning out or spinning, even spinning going into the corners. It seems like they were overheating their right rears. Any trouble there on board the 06 machine?
Yeah, it was for us. It was a little unique, I think. We took some pretty serious damage early on in the race. So when the track started cooling down and coming around to a lot of guys, it just was reacting a little bit differently for us. So we didn't quite pick up the speed I was hoping to as the track cooled off. Cars started getting very tight, and we started kind of having a little bit of this four-wheel slide thing going on into turn one, which definitely made it a little bit chaotic trying to time the restarts properly and be competitive, when it's time to pull the trigger. But it's somehow we held on to the end. I don't think we had tires for another couple green-white checkers. We would have been in trouble by the second or third one.
Well, that was a heck of a run out there tonight, and of course, Color City Racing having just a whole lot to celebrate with two cars up there on the podium, and of course, Nathan taking the top spot. Anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's run to third?
Oh yeah, definitely all the guys here at CCR. It's great every week, hopping in with these guys and getting in the weekend with them. It's just definitely a fun time. Happy for Nathan, and looking forward to seeing everybody again next Sunday night for, I'm not even quite sure where we're at next week, but I'm sure it'll be a fun one.
Absolutely, and of course you did a fantastic job out there tonight. Looking forward to it each and every week out there, Justin. You bring some real excitement to the table. Congratulations on taking third place.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. You all take care.
Absolutely. So that is Justin Bissonette. He took third spot on the track tonight. It was a hard-fought one, and Christian, I think you've managed to catch up with our second place finisher, Brian Smith. That's going to be an exciting interview.
Well, it would have been, but Brian Smith has stepped out of the car and went immediately to his mobile home. So
to his hauler.
He is his hauler, his little RV. He's gone. He already left the track. So was not able to catch up with him. But I believe you're walking over to Victory Lane here for Nathan Finnegan.
Well, certainly.
So we'll go ahead and pull him up.
I do think that Nathan wants to have a chat. It's possible that Brian may have gone and visited the Icon hauler, see if they could get some things figured out between the admins or not. But hey, either way, what an amazing run tonight, not just for yourself, Nathan, but for both of you there in Color City Racing, taking two of the spots on the podium. It's a short track unlike any other here at Richmond, and a really, really difficult track to race and pass, and you did it. You took it fair and square. Congratulations, taking your first win and punching that ticket into the playoffs for the Icon Cup Series.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, definitely would like to give a shout out and a thank you to the CCR crew, the ECR crew, everybody that comes out and supports us each week. My father, Chris, mother, Michelle, my fiance, Emily. Appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting us every single time we run, as well as the league. And I mean, a big shout out to Brian and Jacob and Vincent too. Like, they had really good cars tonight. I gambled on the tire strategy a little bit, and it was we're happy it paid off. But man, it was tough running up there. It was getting argy-bargy, as they say.
Well, Mike Jennings checking in says he just got out of the infield care center. He's okay, guys. He'll be back next week. And of course, let's go CCR. So rooting on you guys. And Emily Romsky checking in. Woo, Justin. So you got your fan club checking in here. It's got to feel good, though, Nathan. I know you put a lot of effort in behind the scenes for Icon Cup Series, but tonight it was all about you and Brian Smith at the front of this one, as it seemed like just things, I mean, like 70 laps to go. Brian Smith is in front of you, and he just gets loose going into the corner, and he moves himself back probably 8 or 10 positions and then has to work his way forward. And then you had like Jacob Smith and a couple of other drivers get into each other. It seemed like some drivers were like removing themselves from trying to pass you or trying to take first position, just making it easier on you. But it must have felt good for you to take over the lead and then just be able to stay out there in the lead for the whole rest of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's with it being Richmond and being a short track, that lead control car has so much power on the restarts, and you get a couple clear, a couple car lengths clear, and it makes all the difference. So especially when we kept re-racking them like that, would have preferred we got a long run going. Felt like we had the long run speed rather than the short run speed, but I mean, we're excited to get that monkey off our back and take this thing to victory lane. So,
well, fantastic run to victory lane. Any trouble tonight at all? I know we talked to you earlier on, but did you feel like tonight there was anything with the track, or did you just connect with that machine and you were able to do anything that you wanted with it?
I felt like our setup was pretty dialed in. We were able to really be able to kind of put the car where we needed to. A lot of it was just, honestly, again, those restarts, like we just couldn't, it was so hard to get into a rhythm with the restarts going and going, so.
Well, either way, this was just a stellar run for yourself, and I'm sure we'll see up here on the podium multiple times. Who'd you like to thank before we close out the broadcast here tonight?
Yeah, like I was saying, a shout out to my parents, my fiance Emily, the CCR boys and the ECR boys. Definitely appreciate them working strategy as much as we could with different things, whether it be pit stops or otherwise. And big shout out to you guys. Really appreciate everything that you guys do for our league, as well as putting this show on for everyone. So
absolutely, we love doing it, and Nathan, you put on a great show tonight. Certainly class of the field, and we'll see if anybody can try and tackle you next week at Michigan, my friend. But good luck with the rest of the season, and we'll look forward to the rest of it. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
So that's Nathan Finnegan over at Color City Racing. My goodness me, what celebrations must be going on there. 313 Motorsports. Between Color City Racing and 313, unless we have, I'm not sure if we have the team wrong a little bit over at 313. We'll have to see if we can correct that. But if we're not wrong, those two teams make up the top 5 positions. There's a lot to celebrate over there. But as you know, Christian, Brian Smith, kind of upset he didn't take the win.
Yeah, a little upset is a good way to sum it up. Either that or he was, super tired. Just was overheated. Maybe it was hot out there tonight, so maybe he needed to go to the infield care center, get some fluids. We don't want to speculate and until we know what happened. But it was a great run for him. Second place, he's got to be happy with that. Obviously it's not a win, especially having the most dominant car to not win. It definitely hurts, so I can see why he's mad, but he can come back next week at Michigan and see what he can do there. And Nathan Finnegan probably going to be strong there. We'll have to see what happens. Michigan's a great track. It's wide open, a lot of room to go 4 or 5 wide, so hopefully it's a good product next week.
Take a look at that upcoming schedule there. You can see it on your screen. Nathan Finnegan taking the victory here at Richmond Raceway. It was hard fought, but he managed to hold off all the challengers for the last 70 laps or so. And next week we should have a very exciting one, a completely different style of racing at Michigan. You won't want to miss it. That is going to be exciting. But of course, here, our next broadcast on VirtualRacing.Network will be this Monday, tomorrow night, if I can get it right. We're going to be back here for our second of 3 nights at Richmond Raceway. It's going to be the NORA Truck Series. And once again, they are out for trying to get the win, because this is the final race of the season for the NORA Truck, for the regular season for the NORA Truck Series. Everybody trying to punch their ticket into the playoffs. You won't want to miss it here on VirtualRacing.Network. Tomorrow night at 8:55 Eastern Time, and then the following night, NORA Cup Series will be here at Richmond as well at 8:25 Eastern Time. So that's going to do it for us here at Richmond for the Icon Cup Series. On behalf of Christian Snyder, the Icon Cup Series competitors and administration. Thank you so much for joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network. You've been watching iRacing live on VirtualRacing.Network. I hope you have a wonderful night. We'll see you here again tomorrow night. Until then, bye-bye, everybody.